Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Nicole D. Miller, author, blogger, speaker, hybrid book publisher, and your host. At Girl Talk, we are a safe space for female leaders to engage in healing and edifying conversation. This is your Me Too, empathetic corner, where we have authentic and transformative dialogue designed to uplift and connect high-achieving women like you. Are you looking for a safe space to cultivate sisterhood with other like-minded female bosses? Leave your cape at the door and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk One-on-One. I'm your host, Nicole D. Miller. I'm excited to welcome our next guest in today's conversation, Jasmary Tineo. Jasmary is a licensed therapist and founder of Hidden Roots Mental Health, LLC. She specializes in offering mental health services to those with lower socioeconomic backgrounds and people of color. Connecting with Jasmary was completely divine, as someone from her team reached out to me after becoming privy to Girl Talk on our social media page. That just goes to show the fruit of our obedience. When we step out on faith and do what is innately within us, we are in alignment and in the proper position to be found. Learning Jasmary's story was inspiring, as she has grown and continues to grow in her entrepreneurial endeavors and in her call as a female leader. But it wasn't just her work ethic and ability to manifest vision that were inspiring. It was her humility, kindness, and servant heart that made our connection seamless. That being said, Jasmary went from being a single parent trying to make ends meet to leaping into the deep and launching her own counseling practice, which now spans 3 states. Are you a single parent with a dream that supersedes your current situation? Are you a female leader wanting to expand but not sure how? Maybe you have a heart to impact your community at a greater level. In need of tips on healing your mental health and dealing with grief? If any of these apply, sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk One-on-One. I am your host, Nicole D. Miller. I'm super excited to introduce to you guys our new guest, Jasmary Tineo from Hidden Roots, and I will let her share more about who she is, what she does, and all the things.
Hey, Nicole. Thank you, first of all, for having me. We're so excited to be on your platform. Amazing work that you're doing to empower individuals that look like us, women, right? We need that empowerment. So just to share a little bit about me, my name is Jasmary Tineo. I am a child first. I am a mother. I am a business owner. I am the woman that wears many hats, just like a lot of us women do. No matter what role you play in your journey, we tend to carry like all the baggage. But most of all, I am an individual whose purpose is to serve at no matter what capacity and what that looks like. So I am the founder of Hidden Roots Mental Health, a community-based organization located in Virginia, Ohio, and in the state of Texas. And I'm here, like I said, to serve, through my experience in entrepreneurship. That's who I am. I'm Jasmary Tineo, the founder of Hidden Roots Mental Health, amongst many other things.
And I love that you touched on that word serve. That is such a word that has been near and dear to my heart. Definitely the last year, specifically in the season, and it's definitely part of Girl Talk's mission is to serve female leaders. Have you always been a servant? Like, when did that come about as far as you recognizing that about yourself?
Yeah, so when that really came about, first off, a little more about me. I am from the Latino community. So, we come up culturally, our morals, like we are here to serve, and as I share that last name, Tineo, my last name, our family roots, we are brought up in a way of how can you help others? And that starts within your own home, right? With your siblings, your neighbors and things of that nature. Like my mom who is a big part of who I am today, has always been a servant. So that came just based off of my upbringing. But when it most came was when I went through a season of challenge and I relocated to the state of Virginia. And I remember I started going to church and the word was serving. And as I kind of like attached that to things that I saw and how I was able to incorporate that with who I am and how I felt when I served, is when I really took the word more seriously of serving and what that meant. And through my hurdles and experiences, one of the biggest things that I've learned is you don't make it anywhere unless you're willing to serve. And we have to be in a season of selflessness. And a lot of times, especially in today's world, because of how society is and the things that's put out there, everyone is about me, 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 me. But what they fail to understand is that there's no me without you having a team, a village behind you. And everything that we do, there's a village that needs to come with that. So that serving, I would say it came to me probably like about in my 20s, 30s, where I learned that this life is bigger than the physical body that I have here and the experience that I experience. It's about how am I taking what I have and how am I giving that back out to the world? And when I leave, what legacy am I leaving behind? Not only with my lineage, for those lives that I have access to touch. And that's when the word serving and, what it really meant to serve, it really impacted me in my life and who I am, not only today, but more so who I am becoming.
Well, I love what you shared. It definitely sounds like you're in alignment with Girl Talk. That's one of the reasons why I said yes when your team reached out about this opportunity, because it's exactly what our girl tribe is made up of, is female leaders trying to get back. It sounds like you were that was modeled for you from your family, from your community. You have a heart for urban communities. Now, you are the founder of Hidden Roots Mental Health, LLC. How did you know that you wanted to use your experience and gift of serving specifically in the mental health community?
Yeah. So I tell everyone when they ask me, I did not choose this. It chose me. I did not go the traditional route when it came down to entrepreneurship at all. By all means, I did not go down the traditional route when there was a decision made that I was going to become a entrepreneur. It was birthed out of necessity. It was birthed out of purpose for me. So when I came up with the idea of transitioning to entrepreneurship with Hidden Roots Mental Health, as I said, I do have a mother and also other family members that struggle directly with mental health disorders. And the system is broken. And I am a direct reflection of how, that system showed up in my life. So I was able to take my experiences, my own personal healing, and my own personal trauma, and everything that I've been through. And my journey led me to the behavioral health space because before I got there, I just started learning about mental health. I knew nothing about it because of the stigma that's out there. And it's been out there. And it was something that, especially in my community, has always been disguised as the term crazy. So as I, transitioned and I was figuring out the pieces of my life and my journey and going through trial and tribulation, I learned about the industry that I was in. And I learned just enough, not even in the front face and back office end, for me to say, you know something, I can do this, but I need to do it my way. I need to do it in a way where I can, attach that word serve and be able to walk in my purpose. And that's how I came about the entrepreneurship side of coming up with Hidden Roots Mental Health, which is my testimony, my mission, and what God has given me in order for me to be able to serve and live in alignment with whatever my journey is going to be.
Now, you mentioned the system is broken. For our audience that may not be familiar with that terminology, and even myself, I just want clarification on what that means to you.
Yeah, so for me, and I'm going to go all the way down to the roots with that, right? I'm gonna take away what happens in policy and how it's created and how things are constructed in order for it to work. Let's start with the village, which we call our families, right? That system. We have a family system that we operate off of. Because of lack of education and what we're not giving individuals, when it comes down to mental health, there's a lot of gaps. There's a lot of gaps in, providing individuals, which is in our own family units, but what they need when they're dealing with or experiencing barriers with mental health because of the lack of education that's not provided to us in the educational system. For example, we may have like a health course for 30 minutes a week as a child, but we're not getting thorough education on what it is to deal with mental health and mental health barriers. And when we talk about anything higher than that, when we're talking about like the insurance and the state laws and things that are put together that are meant to help us deal with the challenges that we may have with mental health. In my experience, I can say, what I find is that a lot of times those systems, they're not created in a way where an individual can go in and get the help that they need and have enough wraparound care for them to be treated whole, as the whole individual, for them to be treated with the barriers in a way that we are touching every part of what they may be going through and meeting them where they are. We're trained to do that as professionals, but the system is not created where we're coordinating our care enough for individuals to get what they need because of lack of education.
So, what are some of the programs that you have in place or initiatives that you've taken to create those opportunities for minorities and people of color and urban communities to receive that education and receive the health and healing and wholeness that they need in all areas?
Yeah, so for sure. I mean, starts with opportunities like this, getting the information out there, right? Another thing is partnering with communities through some of the initiatives that they may have and just getting an opportunity to be in the space where we can open our mouths and where we can speak. Like we've done things, and this is something that we do directly out of the organization. We'll go into the hospital and do a lunch and learn. Because a lot of times the case managers in the hospitals, they don't have enough access to the resources. They don't know what it is that we do. They know that, hey, there's a mental health organization and there's an outpatient therapist over there, but let's get to know them better so we can build that direct relationship. So when you are dealing with an individual, you can refer them and say, hey, this is a fit for you, because we may not be a fit for everyone. Educating people to understand when you're sitting in front of a professional, you have the option to choose. So a lot of the initiatives that we do is boots on the ground, getting our team members out there and just be real with them. Like show up without the suit and tie. Show up as your most authentic self because that's where they are and they are already in a vulnerable state. And all we want to do is educate them and empower them. So the model is educate first, let them know what's going on, let them know what mental health is, boots on the ground while we're doing that. Then we want to train them on what we've educated them on. And then we want to empower them to go out there and seek the help and encourage them. Train them on advocacy, train them on asking the right questions and to not be afraid to put themselves first.
Thank you for sharing that. One of my questions is, have you seen disparities between resources in the mental health field being provided for core people of color? And if so, how are you bridging the gap to reduce those disparities?
So it's unfortunate. And, one thing about me and everyone knows is I'm 1,000% transparent. A lot of times we see it within our own people that are providing the services. You're providing a service and you're not giving that person in front of you the full capacity of what they should be getting. Because you may be dealing with your own barriers. You're not incorporating enough self-care for you to show up as the best version of yourself and you're providing this care. It's hurtful because when we're dealing with people that look like us, that are coming to us, and then you're cutting them short because you can't show up as the best version of yourself. Or on the other side, when we're looking at the financials behind it. And it happens a lot in business. You have to focus on the financials, but you're not focused on the care. You end up providing a lower level of care for the individual. And one of the things that we do, and I'm huge on it, I tell everyone, you stop. If you're not able to provide quality care, ethical care to the individual, don't provide the service at all. Just don't do it, because all you're doing is hurting individuals. One of the things I will say that, and I can speak about Hidden Roots as an example, we run a child program. I am very hesitant on who we hire to work with a child because they're very fragile in that season. So when we're employing someone to go out there and build a relationship with someone who already comes from a broken home, someone who has already experienced abandonment issues, someone who doesn't know if I can trust because I've already been broken, we think twice before we pair a relationship. And I think that in our field, professionals, we have to get in a space where we separate ourselves and what our own needs are from that individual that's in front of us and put them first. It should be client centered. So that's some of the things, one of the things that we do. And outside of that is just be transparent with where you are as a provider.
Thank you for that feedback from an expert's perspective. Now, I do want to talk more about your personal journey into getting into this field. I know you touched on your own mental health challenges. So, can you share a little bit more about that and help our audience to learn your story and how you overcame and what tours helped you specifically?
Yeah, so basically, one of the things that I experienced being a middle child, having a parent who struggles with bipolar disorder and other family members that deal with substance use disorder and different types of diagnosis, I really wasn't awarded like the opportunity to not continue to push forward. So it was years and years and years where I never really had the opportunity to sit down with what we call emotion and to get to experience what I may be experiencing internally, right? And even though I didn't have an opportunity to sit down and what I may have been feeling like in childhood as a daughter who saw so much or whatever it was, whatever my story was as a child, transitioning to this season that I'm in now, where you have the responsibility of children and life, bills and everything else you're trying to push forward, continuing those learned patterns, those learned behaviors where we continue to block everything off, right? My emotions showed up in ways that were not healthy in my relationships. So they would show up in my interpersonal relationships, my romantic relationships, and things of that nature. And then I realized that, hey, I'm carrying baggage that I never let go of, and it's showing up in my relationships. I sabotaged relationships for a period of time, not because I did anything bad, but before something happened, I would leave. And that was always my recipe. It was, I'm going to run away from this before it died because I'm protective mode, protective mode, protective mode. So one of the biggest tools, and I thank my friend who pushed me towards this direction, was seeking therapy. But the first therapist I worked with was not the one for me. So I'm a big advocate with finding the right fit. So I went through about 2 therapists up until I found the one. And I have been working with him religiously every week to give me an opportunity to check myself. So when I'm feeling down, that doesn't mean that it takes away what you deal with. Like I do have seasons and moments where I may be having some levels of depression, not clinical depression, not clinically diagnosed. However, I may have a down day like anyone else, right? And I may have a breakdown, a mental breakdown where I'm just crying and I'm just fed up and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I got to get up and put the mask back on and do this again because that's the role I need to play. But having that outlet is one of the biggest tools that has helped me continue forward outside of having a good support system. And I found that within my own family, sisterhood within my own family. Mm-hmm.
That's a blessing. And thank you for your vulnerability. And even with you saying, it took you a few times to get the right therapist, I can resonate with that. My mom passed in 2018, and the first therapist that I got, it wasn't that she was bad per se, it's that I wasn't really ready because I was still in shock. And I think that we have to really be ready. The second therapist was okay, but her mechanisms, like her tools, weren't necessarily what I needed. I feel like she was just a conversationalist, and I kind of needed like homework to do. The third one was definitely on the money. So to your point, sometimes you have to keep looking. Right. Sometimes it's about you being ready. And one of the things that you were sharing that stood out to me is like, I'm sure so many resonate, especially if they have your background with having a survival mentality, right, and then having to shut down your emotions to protect yourself, right? Right. So you spend years shutting down your emotions to survive, but then realize the outcome is self-sabotage, breaking off these relationships that actually could be good. Right. So I commend you for making it out, being healthier, and doing work because there are many who don't. Right. And then the very thing that you will weaken, you become an overcomer in, right? Mm-hmm. And strength. And so I'm privileged to even hear your story and to know that you're out there authentically doing work. Now, I know that even before we got on this call, we were talking about the holidays coming up, right? And you guys are the swamped at the holidays. A lot of people are dealing with grief. They're dealing with trauma. They're missing loved ones. I know you've touched on having the support system, having a licensed therapist. Is there any specific tips that you would give someone who's grieving at the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be seek the help. That's number one. It's interesting because just yesterday, I was a part of a mental health summit, and they had a panel with individuals who experienced grieving, and everyone got an opportunity to speak. We were in a room with a lot of professionals, therapists, psychiatric nurse practitioners. You had people that were just in the community who did the work. And out of the panel, there were about 4 individuals that spoke. None of them were seeking professional help. But yet, when they spoke, you can hear the pain and what they experience. Grieving has different stages. And maybe seeing a professional may not be a fit for you yet. I encourage everyone to, because they have the clinical book smarts to be able to get you to where you need to be with the tools. However, identify a trusted friend, a partner, a neighbor that allows you to have the space to be vulnerable. Even if you don't want to speak, that allows you the space to sometimes even just be silent and just sit down and look at the wall with you. In order for you to ensure that you maintain a safe space, and remember that tomorrow's always another day. And that's the biggest thing, like remembering that the pain that you experience today, time heals all wounds. That's the way I believe. Is the wound going to always be? Yeah, absolutely. You're still going to hurt because we will miss the loss of someone. We know we may not get that person back in their physical body, but their spirit is still. So remember the highlights, the great moments. Be grateful for the opportunity that you had with the individual, and focus on those moments more than the loss, because the loss is really as big as what we make. So seeking the help is really the biggest thing, and really being able to identify with the situation and detach yourself, because it had nothing to do with you. However, it had to do with their own individual journey, and we all have them.
Love that. Practicing gratitude, right? Celebrating the time that you had with them. Also remembering there's a new day. There's going to be a new day. I'm a very emotional person. So I've had to learn my emotions can feel so deep and so real and so big that they could take me out. So I have to like get control of my thoughts, which is influencing my emotions, which influences our behavior. So I love that tip to remember is tomorrow. Right. And I used to have this saying that was on my heart, give God one more day. Mm-hmm. So going through such a hard time after my mom's transition, didn't know my purpose, didn't know my calling. It was like, just give God one more day.
Right.
And in doing that, I was able to manifest my books and book publishing, etc. But it's like you have to push through those moments that are just moments. Like
temporary, even though they feel so big, and they are important because it's showing the love that you have for that person.
Right.
But like you said, they're still with us, and it's their journey.
Right.
We could all have that journey.
Mm-hmm.
So pivoting back a little bit to your career, because you're doing really well, and as a business owner, I'm inspired. I want to know, how did you scale? How would you build? And how did you even come up with your name, Hidden Roots? Like, what is the meaning behind it?
Okay, so let's start with the name because the name does have a story. So when people see me, I tend to seem like I have it all well put together. I am my mother's child. With her, it's the same exact thing. They say, don't let them know about the mess that's going on in the house now. Keep the stuff in the closet. Don't let it out. So with that, hidden roots, the word hidden, a lot of times you really don't know what someone has been through or what they're going to go through. And we don't know what they're built from, like what we're built out of, right? Like a lot of us, all of us, the majority of us have some type of a testimony. We have a story and we have a journey hidden. The roots is what creates us. That is our family, the seed. We have God. We have the trial and tribulations that we've been through, the hurt, the experiences, and they're all tangled up in there. They're all just tangled, and that's what creates our foundation. And as I envisioned the name of the organization and the logo, obviously we attached it to what a tree is. When I think of a tree, I'm talking about trees that have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. The foundation that that tree has in order for it to withstand all the seasons that we go through. And that's what our life is. Hidden Roots Mental Health is a direct reflection, that name, of who we are in our journey. And a lot of us go through severe traumatic experiences that are meant to break us, but it doesn't. And that's how I came up with that name, Hidden Roots Mental Health, because as we attach that to one of the muscles that we don't work most, which is our brain, the mental health side, a lot of us don't practice skills in order for us to work that out. We'll go to the gym and do 100 squats, but we ain't gonna take out the tools that we need and work on them to work on our mental health. However, Hidden Roots Mental Health, that name came from who I am and my testimony, all that I've been through, in order for you to see me still standing here and deal with all I deal with. Because there's more to me than what you see, just like there's more to that tree and what it's been through than the beautiful flowers that bloom every season that come around spring.
I love that. I resonate with it. I feel like I have a grace in my life to not wear my hardships.
Right.
And so people just never know what you go through. And then they only want the highlights. And I think social media, like, is a proponent for that, where you only see the wins, right? But you don't know the costs.
Yes.
And so I always say, like, I don't want anybody else's cup. Like, I don't know what they go up to being seen. So
Yeah.
I love that. Now, you guys service 3 different states.
Yes.
Is it, do you do virtual clients, or is it only like in person?
So we do a little bit of everything. The majority of our services are in person. However, we do provide virtual services, mostly for our outpatient services. Those happen virtually through the state of Ohio. With Texas, the model is a little bit different. We do in-home, we do virtual. I create settings where we may go into the schools with the kids. It's a very mixed model.
Gotcha. Good to know for our audience. Now, with you becoming an entrepreneur, what defining moment caused you to take the leap? Because being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. So
Right. I'm a risk taker. And when I relocated to Virginia, I packed my bags. I didn't have a job. I promise you, I may have had $2,000 in savings. I signed a lease for an apartment. And I didn't even know what it was going to look like. I just pulled up with my 2 little ones, a single mom. And I just took the leap of faith, and I was able to figure it out. From there, I got a state job. We lived off for $50 a week, but we were happy. Let me tell you, we didn't need for nothing. I had a gym membership. They had a kids club. My kids have fun. And I think that that was the first time I did something very risky, which, led me to a couple of years after that, the entrepreneurship side. I was working for the state, and I just knew that It was just in my spirit. I said, listen, there's more to me than just working at the WIC office. Yeah, I'm helping women. However, doing this 9 to 5 is just not my fit. I feel like there's more. And then I left the job without something else planned. And then I met someone in the field and they gave me an opportunity. And after I experienced that opportunity and I saw how they did things, and I was encouraged to say to myself, you know what, let me try to do it my way. Because I have like the testimony to go with it. Because again, like I said, I didn't choose this, it chose me. I was born into mental health. I know mental health firsthand. I started with a really small office space and myself without the credentials, put up policies. It took me 3 years to write up my policies and procedures. And that right there was my justification that you are on the right path. Because everything else prior to that in life, I would give it 3 years. I would quit it. I would say, you know what? I'm on to the next thing. I'm on to the next thing. I'm on to the next thing. But because I stood there without making $1 for 3 years, writing policies and procedures, and I kept going back and forth with it. And I just said, no, I'm going to keep going up until I get a yes. I did not take no for an answer up until I got that license in my hand. I knew that this was my journey. I don't know where God is going to take this. I know that I'm not where I need to be in this journey. But when I started it, I never envisioned 3 states. I never envisioned it.
What was your motivation to keep striving through the challenges? And you hadn't done that with anything before this. What was motivating you and driving you?
So at first, it was always my children. I wanted to provide for them and give them the stability of me being more present in their life. Because prior to that, working jobs, I wasn't there for a lot of moments in their life. My mom was a big supporter. She took care of them. But once I got my first employee, then my second employee, they became part of that motivation. And now as I look at being in different states and you got title CEO, it means nothing if you don't attach what you're willing to risk for the people that give you that time to build what your legacy is, because it's a part of their journey too. So every time I hire someone, like I take that seriously. You're my responsibility now. The same way I put you in a category, my kids in a category, like I need to make sure that I provide for them. I have to make sure I do whatever I can to make sure I keep these door opens, because this is how you provide for your family. So now that's like my motivator to keep going and keep going, even when it's hard and I struggle and I deal with things that I'm learning throughout my journey in the process, still learning and trying to perfect things. They're my motivation.
And I think it goes back to your original statement about being a servant, and theory,
Right.
you're a servant leader.
Yes.
So we are going to wrap up this conversation, Jasmary. I so appreciate all of the gems and jewels that you shared about your personal overcoming with your own health challenges, as well as how you're giving back to the community and taking care of others and opening doors of purpose to others. Are there any last minute items that you just want to share to our audience? Anything that's just simmering in your heart?
Yeah, absolutely. So for all of our women out there who are trying to push whatever it is, whatever their vision is, because their vision is theirs, align yourself with like-minded people, number one. Like, do not be apologetic for trying to create the best version of you. A lot of times we're put in certain boxes that we're not meant to stay in for a long period of time. So continue to push forward and remember that your journey is your journey and it's individualized and created specifically to the most unique version of you. So continue to push forward, be unapologetic about whatever it is that you need to do, and always lead with the right intention.
So we appreciate your words of wisdom. For our audience who's looking to tap into your resources, can you share your website link, your social media, any ways that they can contact you?
Absolutely. So our website is hiddenrootsllc.com. Over there you have, all of our states, all of our services, pretty in pink. And for our social media, you can find us on Instagram, hiddenroots_mental health. And then through there, all the links you'll find to find us in other places. So, hoping to hear from y'all and connect with anyone soon. And thank you again, Nicole, for giving us the opportunity to share some love on your platform.
Definitely. You guys are right up my alley. I totally am feeling your vision, your heart to serve, and we'll include all of your information in the show notes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmary. We'll talk to you guys soon. Catch the next Girl Talk 101.
Well, now, I hope you enjoyed the insights that Jasmary gave about her discovery of purpose. I know I did. I so love that Jasmary is an advocate for providing quality, ethical care that is client-centered. Sometimes those in the counseling industry can be more about the financials, as we discussed, yet Jasmary puts her clients' needs first. I also appreciate that she walks the walk and doesn't just talk the talk. You heard how she sought inner healing through therapy and that she works on her own mental health along with assisting her clients. She dealt with self-sabotage and other unhealthy behaviors which showed up in her interpersonal relationships. Those are always green flags for me when looking for a good mental health therapist, someone who is also working on themselves. Here are some other takeaways your girl got from this discussion. 1, you don't make it anywhere unless you're willing to serve. 2, you don't always find purpose, purpose finds you. And 3, sometimes with our mental health, we can get stuck in negative emotions. When this happens, we need to control our thoughts and remember that there is always tomorrow. That last key resonated a lot with me. As I shared in the discussion, I'm an emotional person and can get stuck in my negative thoughts and feelings, whether it's fear, anxiety, or depression. If I don't reel in those feelings, I can nosedive into a dark place. Am I alone? Jasmary and I talked about our tendencies to be even more vulnerable to these dark places when dealing with the loss of a loved one and grieving. I so appreciated her tips that we can focus on our positive memories and realize that the pain is but for a moment. We can experience victory when pushing through that moment and remembering there is always tomorrow. We can reframe the narrative. I also appreciate Jasmary's call to transform the narrative surrounding mental health and stop using terms like crazy. Her desire to offer ethical, holistic care to those in urban communities is so needed, as those populations typically suffer unprecedented trauma, yet due to financial barriers and a lack of education, they miss out on the care they need. I applaud her work to get the information out there and educate despite the challenges from a broken system saturated with insurance requirements and faulty state laws. If you're in need of mental health services and live in Ohio, Texas, or Virginia, you can learn more about Jasmary's practice at hiddenrootsllc.com. All of Jasmary's contact information is in the show notes. Okay, guys. That's all for now. I'll catch you next time. And remember, I attract amazing women doing amazing things. So guess what, sis? That means you're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. To continue the conversation, join our Girl Talk community by following @GirlTalkCLE on Instagram and Facebook.com/HTOHB, where you can join the Girl Talk Facebook group. You can follow me personally on Instagram @HTOHB, on Facebook.com/HTOHB, and at YouTube.com/@HTOHB. Feel free to reach out via email info@indiemillerpublishing.com. If you're a writer who wants to take the next steps into becoming a published author, you can book a one-on-one consultation at indiemiller.pub. Just let me know you heard about my publishing house through Girl Talk, and I'll give you a 50% discount on our one-on-one. If you'd like weekly inspirational nuggets, you can subscribe to my blog and monthly newsletter at NicoleDMiller.com, where you can learn more about me and my writings. Till next time.